This is Infants on Thrones.
Listener essay. Welcome back to Infants on Thrones. I'm Glenn Ostland, and today's listener essay comes from Liz and is titled Remarkably Unremarkable. Now, if you want to vote for this essay and give some private feedback to the author, visit our website. I'll give you the form letter pre-recorded detailed message at the end of the episode today. But for now, take it away, Liz.
I have the hardest time knowing how to start these things. Well, actually, I have a hard time starting a lot of things because I struggle with introductions in general. When I introduce myself, I never know what to say beyond my own name. Some people are really good at describing themselves.
How would I describe myself? 3 words. Hardworking, alpha male, jackhammer.
Me, not so much. What should I say? Hello, my name is Liz, and I am an unremarkable person. Now, have I always been unremarkable? I don't think so, but I am now. I have been aware of my tediously boring identity for 712 days, which also happens to be exactly how many days I have been out of the Mormon Church. At least I think that's how long it's been since I left. When do you officially leave? When you refuse callings? When you take off your garments? I don't know about you, but for me, my official departure date was the day I stopped paying tithing. I mean, something inside of you really shifts when you decide it would be easier to risk literal posthumous burning than to keep spending 3 hours at church. After I stopped attending church, I almost immediately became aware that I am remarkably unremarkable.
If that's a veiled criticism about me, I won't hear it and I won't respond to it.
Anything I've got to say about me is the same that everyone else has got to say about themselves. I am Liz. I grew up in Salt Lake. I went to the same high school that my parents went to. After I turned 16, I dated the first boy who smiled at me in seminary. We dated for 2 years, and I never did anything outside of the parameters and the strength of youth because I was more scared of angering God than I was horny. I went to BYU. I sent off a missionary. I went on a mission. I got married before I was ready. I had kids before I was ready, and now I stay at home with them.
I totally hear you. I also don't like what you're saying.
Do you see how unremarkable I am? I wanted to share a great story here that would properly introduce me to the infant's universe, one that would set me apart. But the thing is, it seems that Mormonism has eliminated anything in my life that would make me memorable, and it's turned me into a very proper 1950s era robot.
We are robots.
I think I used to be unique. I think I remember having characteristics and goals that were special and different from most of the people around me. I can't be certain when exactly I switched to this bland version of myself, but a pretty strong case could be made for July 2003, which coincidentally is when I became a missionary. Now for me, my mission was when I stopped being true to my unique self and started completely obeying the church voices yelling in my ears. And let me explain this a little bit better should you be getting nervous with me talking about hearing voices. We all go through life listening to voices that come from both within and outside of our own heads, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of ways to describe this experience, moral code, intuition, but I go with an inner voice idea because, still small voice, Mormon childhood and all. So our voice tells us about the person that we want to be and the things that we want to do, but we also have all these external voices from different places telling us who we should be and what we should think and what we should aspire to. And maybe those external voices are also telling us what temperature our drink should be and how long Jesus wants our shorts. Things of that nature. Now, if you're lucky, most of the time these internal and external voices are saying a lot of the same things, but unfortunately they don't always agree. In my opinion, this is one of the greatest conundrums of the human experience. What to do when the voices on the outside and the voices on the inside don't agree? Which voice do you listen to? Who gets to decide who you are and what you'll do? And it seems like the natural answer would be to always go with your gut and listen to your own voice, right? Here's the heart of the matter. The sneaky thing is the LDS Church taught me to ignore the internal and obey the external. And guys, this makes me mad. It fills me with rage and regret. Did I ever make any decision for myself? Have I had any control at all over my life, or have I been fooling myself all this time into thinking I was getting personal revelation when I was really just receiving telegrams in my head directly from the church office building? I was taught to only trust the external voices while ignoring my own. Ignore what's going on in your head, even if it's screaming that a situation doesn't feel right.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Your internal no should always become an external yes. Do whatever it takes to get the internal and external voices to align, even if it means gagging your internal voice and hitting it over the head with a Doctrine and Covenants. I mean, you can probably think of a few instances in your own life where you wanted to say no, but external church pressures made you say yes. I'll help you remember if you can't recall anything. Remember that young girl that you met on your mission whose less active parents had died in a car crash before she was baptized? And now that she was older, she had questions about the church and the afterlife in general. Remember how she asked you through fearful tears if she really wouldn't be with her mom and dad and see them again if she didn't get baptized into the Mormon church? Remember how every part of yourself was screaming, no, that doesn't feel right. But you told her yes. And remember how that makes you sick and ashamed to think about still? Remember when you were 25 and a hot 3 seconds after you started dating your now husband, people screamed at you to get married because you were on the precipice of Mormon spinsterhood? Remember how no part of you was ready for marriage and the no's filled every ounce of space in your head, but you said yes and got married a few months later and then made yourself and your husband miserable for the first few years? Well, no means yes no matter how you feel, so I guess I did the right thing. Remember when you fulfilled a lifelong dream of being accepted into medical school but were told not to go and start a family instead? Remember how that felt wrong and you wanted to say no to that counsel but you didn't have the courage to listen to yourself? Oh, and remember the temple?
Is a place of ruin and despair.
Oh, it is the pinnacle of Mormon worship and also the place to go for a quintessential no means yes experience. Do you hate the temple? Does it make you physically ill for years to go and agree to place a man between yourself and a loving God? To accept a lesser fate for the eternities? No, you don't want to do that? Too bad. No means yes here, and shut up and bow your head and say it. Say it. Say yes. Ignore anything and everything that's going on in that head of yours. Veil it, bow it, and say yes. I feel like that was negative. Too negative? I'm being too negative. I don't know. You can tell me later. But here's some good news. I have been out of the church long enough that I can say that the external voices are no longer affecting my every thought and action. When I wake up on a Sunday morning and realize that my lazy parental ass has run out of milk, I run to the store and no voice is telling me that that's wrong. Later that day, when I take my kids to the beach, I no longer check over my shoulder to see if the devil himself on the water is paddling up on a surfboard to drag me down to the bottom. And when I admit out loud that I would prefer to be spending part of my day at work rather than at home all the time with my kids, I no longer feel like I'm going against some preordained personal role or disappointing legions of ancestral spirits just floating around judging me all the time. So this is big. The external voices are losing power every day. However, after ignoring myself for decades, do I even have an internal guiding system anymore? Have I abused and ignored my voice into non-existence? No. I am happy to report that my internal voice is still alive, and it is not still and it is not small. It is confident and proudly shrill. Daily, this voice describes to me a woman who is badass, accomplished, fearless, and remarkable. I am not this woman yet, because while I can hear my internal voice and I pay attention to it, I am still trying to figure out how to listen to it and do the things that it tells me to do. It's scary. How do you make this switch? What is the difference between me and all the post-Mormons out there that seem to figure out how to do and be all the things that they want? Why am I still doing all the same things that I was doing when I was active? Everything inside of me is different, but the only external change that I have allowed is a few more ear piercings. I'm stagnant. It's scary to follow a voice you've never followed before. It's exhilarating and terrifying to navigate life and its constant barrage of decisions all on your own. I'm actually such a scaredy cat that it took me nearly 2 months to work up the courage to submit this essay. Participating in a community like this is something I wouldn't have done before, but the woman in my head would do it, so I'm listening and I'm trying. I left the Mormon church, and sure, I now have exactly 0 close friends. My family relationships are strained and sometimes a little awkward. I'm starting at square one on a career in my mid-30s with people that are a full decade younger than me, but I think this is all okay. If my faith transition were to end today, it wouldn't be a happy ending, but it would be a hopeful one, because I now get to exist in a world where no means no and yes means yes. I am Liz, and I am still unremarkable, but I might not always be.
Thank you for the listener essay. We desire all to receive it. And if you want to vote for it, go to the website and vote for it and give the author some feedback. And then tune in again tomorrow because we'll be doing this all over again with a brand new listener essay. I'll have all the long-winded fancy details as an Easter egg so you can skip over it if you want or listen to it if you want. It'll be there after Zoe says, "Thank you for listening to Infants on Thrones." That's how we roll.
Hi, this is Hillary.
Matthew, Ryan,
Carol,
Keith,
Ashley, and I like to play bingo online while listening to Infants on Thrones.
You can comment on this episode on the website, infantsonthrones.com.
If you really like what you hear,
consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 per episode, capped at whatever total amount you want to cap that at. I mean, where do you think the money is coming from to award prizes to the listener essays, huh? Pretty cool stuff we're doing on Infants on Thrones. Also,
give the Quorum a 5-star rating and write a short review on iTunes.
I did. Anyone for the closing prayer?
Thank you for listening to Infants on Thrones. Infants on Thrones.
Well, that was a great listener essay, wasn't it? Ready to go vote for it? Now, if you've heard this before and you're an old pro at voting for these essays, you can just skip over this part. Now, here's how this is going to work. As it stands right now, I have 14 listener essays, and that means that for the next 2 weeks, starting today, February 7th, ending on February 20th, you will be hearing one listener essay per day, at least for those of you who listen in real time once the episode is released. And FYI, some of these essays were submitted to us without a title, so I gave them a title myself. So if you think the title of the essay is stupid, well, that's probably my fault, because damn if I don't love me some stupid. But here's the really exciting part. One of these 14 essays will win $218 because it's 2018 now, and we like to be cute and stupid about things, but we're not able to award a $2,000 prize just yet, okay? Another essay will win $109, half of the 218, and I think I actually got the math right this time, I think. And a third will win $50, and you listeners get to choose who these winners will be, and you'll also be able to give private feedback to each author. So here's how that's going to happen. After you listen to the essay today, go to our website, infantsonthrones.com, find the post for the essay that you listen to, and be sure that you have the author's name and the essay title right so that your feedback goes to the right place. Click on the survey that's associated with that essay, and it's going to be there on the post. Fill out the survey and submit it, and then sit back and breathe in and breathe out. And feel life's energy flow through you, and bask in the warm feeling of knowing that you made a difference in the life of someone brave enough to submit a listener essay to Infants on Thrones. Now, when you fill out these surveys, you're going to be asked two things primarily. One, to rate the essay on a scale of 1 to 5, and then you'll also have the opportunity to write in some of your thoughts, some of your feedback for the author. It'll only take a few minutes, and then boom, you're done. Now, you can do this for every single essay, every single one of these 14 essays. You can vote, or you can put your feedback for each one of these 14 essays, but you can only vote once for each essay. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, voting will be open through the entire month of February, even though the essays will stop on the 20th. You'll still be able to vote for the last week or so of February. On March 1st, voting will be closed, and then the winners will be announced on Saturday, March 3rd. Now, some of you may be wondering, is there a deadline for submitting essays? Well, no, not really. Now, this contest, with these 14 essays, that will end with the final essay being released on February 20th, but my hope is that as you listen to these essays, you will feel inspired to make one yourself and share your unique view of the world with the rest of our listening audience. So, if you want to do that, submit it, and as soon as we get another 10 to 15 essays, we'll start another contest. How's that? Make sense? Pretty good deal, huh? And isn't that really how the world's supposed to work anyway? I mean, think of it like this. It could be kind of like if you were kneeling at an altar and you looked up and you saw this big mirror on the wall in front of you. And in that mirror, you could see not only your own reflection looking back at you, but you could see the reflection of the mirror on the wall behind you and the back of your head. And then in that reflection, you also saw another reflection of yourself, both front and back, stretching outward and onward, upward throughout all generations of time and throughout all eternity. Like Rey in the new Star Wars movie, if Rey had been at an altar and married herself. Can you marry yourself? What is that, Master Wedshin? I don't know, in some kind of a weird Mormon Jedi temple ceremony thing that distinguishes one type of nerd from other types of nerds. That's kind of what this essay contest is like. No, I don't know. Will it end? Can you submit essays forever and ever and be like Rey? I don't know. See, what did I tell you? I love me some stupid. So this is the deal. Infant Listener Essay Contest. Please participate and make this thing super special, because special isn't just a euphemism anymore, or something remarkable like that.
Hi, this is Hillary.
Matthew, Ryan,
Carol,
Keith,
Ashley.
And I like to play bingo online while listening to Infants on Thrones.
You can comment on this episode on the website, infantsonthrones.com.
And if you really like what you hear,
consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 per episode, capped at whatever total amount you want to cap that at. I mean, where do you think the money is coming from to award prizes to the listener essays, huh? Pretty cool stuff we're doing on Infants on Thrones. Also,
give the Quorum a 5-star rating and write a short review on iTunes.
I did. Anyone for the closing prayer?
Thank you for listening to Infants on Thrones.